Ah, yes, sanitization is a very good thing, ladies and gentlemen. But I'm not going to be creating an SMR M video, because I don't want to spend all my days and nights editing in little text bubbles that you have to look. So here we have our yeast. Don't forget the very important piece of making any mead is the yeast. This is a Lavender 71B, I do believe. Very good stuff. Make sure you get about half a packet in there for a 1 gallon batch. You know, one half, that'll do pretty good. You can even do a full packet if you want. It's not gonna be a big deal. It's not gonna be a problem. It's gonna be replicating in the bottle anyways. Now let's move on to the lovely dovely honey. It's good for the mead. It's the only thing that makes it a mead. For this 1 gallon batch, we're gonna do about 3 pounds of honey. I don't remember what kind of honey this is. I got a 5 gallon bucket, which is a pretty good deal because honey gets expensive. And it's always a smart move to warm up your honey in a nice warm bath. I did not do that, so my honey is a bit cold and moving very slowly, but that's okay. 3 pounds, we finally made it. I gladly sped up the video and editing so you didn't have to watch the whole thing. But now we gotta put water in, and it's always good to put warm water in. I did not put warm water in, just for you guys so you can see what it takes to mix in room temperature honey with room temperature water. It's a bit of a struggle. But we'll get this little bunghole cap, little thumb presser doodle. Look at that. Just look how I'm speeding it up. I'm speeding it up so fast. But this is literally taking me many hours. And now for the good stuff that the yeast loves. This is a kind of not so natural yeast nutrient. It still works. I'm definitely going to make more videos with the natural stuff, but I wanted to show you because most people will find this first. And I was adding about 1 teaspoon? Yeah, it was 1 teaspoon. That should do it. That's just going to give the yeast enough nutrients to survive, thrive, fart some gas, and pee some alcohol. Very uncomfortable thinking it that way, but that's what we like, don't we? Mix it again. See if things sounds good. Now for the gravity reading, my friends. You're going to take a little bit of this, and mind my usage of the turkey baster thing. It took me a while to figure out how to properly squeeze this thing. That was terrible. So, we have an initial gravity of 1.120. The initial gravity reading is great. Always do it. Please just do it. Because it tells you if it's done. It tells you how much alcohol is in it. And you don't want to be putting premature meads or any ferments into a capped bottle. Letting it gas off some more. Eating more sugar. And then boom, you have a bomb in your basement. Can I say that on YouTube? Yeah, don't do that. Placing the bubbler cap on here. A little carburetor. It keeps all the dirty bugs and stuff out. But look how... Someone's got to fix this design. This is just not working. Trying anything I can do to keep this thing down. The best thing to do, honestly, leave it alone. Write your list of all the stuff you did. This is a Lavender Metheglin. We got our 3 pounds of honey. We got our tablespoon of yeast nutrient. We got our date, which is January 7th, and our initial gravity of 1.120. And 1.120, my friends, will bring us, if we go down to 1.000, about 15% alcohol. I do not believe that this yeast, Lavender 71B, can get up to 15% alcohol. This strain doesn't quite like that condition. So this is the primary fermentation, so we're going to let this sit for maybe a few weeks, watch it bubble, watch it do its thing, and don't forget, if you don't know, and if you do know, shake that bottle for the first few days, like once a day, swirl it around, give it a nice swirl, get some air in there. The yeast needs that air in the beginning of its process, so for a few days, swirl it around. After that, you can let it sit for a couple weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. This, it took me about, let's see, from January 7th to February 2nd, I let it sit for almost a month. This time, this gravity reading is looking about 1.022. And that's actually pretty good. That brought me almost down to 0. There's a little bit of sweetness in there. And if we do the math, from 1.120 to 1.022, that'll bring us to around 12% alcohol. That's still pretty good for me, and I think that's pretty good. It leaves some sweetness behind, about 0.022 sweetness. Put it back in the secondary jar, because this is our secondary ferment, and this is where we're going to add some lovely lavender flavor. Now, if you haven't seen one of these before, it is a type of siphon. This siphon is wonderful. I was trying it the old-fashioned way of sucking down a tube of air until I get some liquid in my mouth, and letting it pour down. But this little pump I got makes quick work of it. Look at that. Give it a nice little swirl. You know what this does? This swirl does some lovely stuff. It helps it gas. You want that gas to leave. There's some nasty gas in there you want it to get out. But you don't want to swirl it so bad you're adding oxygen, because at that point, there's a chance you can make some vinegar or some off flavors. Don't do it. Now for the lavender, my friends. We're taking 1.5 teaspoons, roughly that. I was doing some tests, see what I liked more or less of. It's 1.5 teaspoons for this gallon seemed to work pretty good. And now I'm trying to figure out what's the best way to soak this stuff in without it floating on the top for too long. I just didn't want any bacteria. I didn't know how long I was going to leave it if I forgot about it, but I really only wanted to leave it for a few hours. So I put a weight on it. I can't recommend it. Maybe you got better ideas. You can do something better than that, but 4 to 12 hours is leaving it there good, and I want it to soak good and not stay on the top. Maybe I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. I don't know. It's trial and error. More notes. Take your notes. Everything must be noted. You don't want to forget. I always tell myself I'll remember, and then I forget every single time. So I'm learning how to take notes. My wife's been teaching me. She's been a real helpful hand with that. Or just make fun of me. Say, take notes. So I do. Take your strange-looking forceps thingies, like a surgical doctor. Take this out gently. Look at how gently that is. Remove it into a sanitary field, away from everything, prying eyes. Cap that son of a drink back on. And there we go. I let this sit for another week or so, and I'm taking another gravity reading here, just to make sure everything's good. It looks like we are still at the 1.022. So nothing has changed, which is a good thing. We don't want anything to change after that long period. I don't think the yeast is in a dormancy. I think it's like no longer able to function good in this high alcohol content. We're going to be bottling this soon, checking out the color, checking out how much we need to let it sit, decant. Looks good. So I'm going to move over here and do that nice slipperty-dippity, siphony-clipety. See? Easy. Quick few pumps. No more sucking down some air and getting liquid in your face. Even it tastes good. You know, it does taste good. Got a few 1-liter bottles and a little one here that I'm going to test and taste as I want to throughout the days, but honestly, you can drink this now. I think it's a little young for most, but if you want to let it sit for at least 3 months, let it age. The flavors really start to enhance at that point. It's a great idea to do that. Thank you guys for watching the video. I'm going to be making more here soon. I got a whole backlog of drinks, meads, wines, all sorts of stuff. I'm not going to be necessarily a mead channel. I just like making content here and there. I'm probably going to get into some wood shop work and stuff. I hope you enjoyed that too. But let me know in the comments. Let me know if you're even out there. Or I'm just talking to myself on an empty website like YouTube, being the only guy in the shadow in the back corner who has nothing else to do better in this life. And it's okay. Thanks. See you next time.